Some people are surprised to hear that Bernie Ecclestone once owned the premium category of motorsport, Formula 1. It's actually a really interesting story of how he captured the power of Formula 1 step by step. It took more than a decade to transfer the authority over commercial rights of the sport into the hands of Bernie Ecclestone. He truly is a mastermind and executed the plan very well to take full control of the sport. Welcome back to Total F1. This is a story of Bernie Ecclestone. But before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. Bernie Ecclestone was born on the 28th of October 1930. He was not someone from a wealthy background. His father, Sidney Ecclestone, was a fisherman. His mother, Bertha, was extremely careful with money as her family were going through serious financial struggles. So, little Ecclestone found different methods to earn money at school. First, he was famous in school for delivering messages from his friends to their girlfriends. Little Bernie charged chewing gum for that task. That was clear evidence of the business mind and negotiating skills that he possessed. When Bernie grew up, he engaged in different types of activities after school and on holidays to earn money. At the age of 15, he had to sit for the matriculation exam and he failed all the subjects except maths. Later, his parents sent young Bernie to learn physics and chemistry at Woolwich Polytechnic. However, he didn't want to focus on his studies and decided to get involved in motorcycle racing at Brands Hatch. This small move in his life laid the foundation to own the premium category of motorsport later in his career. When he was just 16, Ecclestone decided to end his academic life, starting a job at a local gas board. Bernie spent his free time scrolling through classifieds, searching for motorbikes and spare parts that he could resell for a profit. This was his side business, but within a short time interval, it developed into a state that made him more money than working in the gas board. Later, he developed a relationship with Les Crocker, who was the owner of Harcourt Motorcycles Company. He started his own motorcycle showroom under the backing of Harcourt Motorcycles, and it turned into the best in the area. Then his growth as a businessman was accelerated and started selling cars in addition to bikes after opening a partnership with the Compton and Fuller Company. Later, he entered the internal structure of this business by purchasing the shares owned by Derek Fuller. Then, he persuaded Compton, who was a founder and a main shareholder of the company, to get involved in motorsports. Despite all of these business activities, Ecclestone's interest in competing as a racing driver remained. So, he purchased a Cooper MKV in 1951 to compete in the Formula 3 category. However, his racing activities were limited only to Brands Hatch, as he had to spend more time on the success of his business. During this period, he entered the real estate business. In addition to the lucrative car business, he was able to collect a large amount of wealth, becoming a reputed personality in society. However, his racing career came to an end after a near-death experience in an F3 race. After a collision with Bill Whitehouse, he was thrown out of the cockpit and landed in a public car park. He then decided to end his racing career without enjoying any notable success as a racing driver. Then he started to explore more investment opportunities, making a pile of money. Once again, Bernie returned to racing in 1957, but this time not as a driver. He became the manager of the British F1 driver Stuart Lewis Evans, and later took control of the Connaught F1 team, which was Lewis Evans' team. Overall, it was not a successful racing team. In 1958, he decided to return to the cockpits for the Monaco Grand Prix, and it ended in an unsuccessful attempt after failing to qualify. Lewis Evans decided to switch from Connaught to Vanwall, despite him still being managed by Bernie. During the final race in Morocco, he crashed and burst into flames. Even though Lewis Evans was taken to the hospital as soon as possible, he died. Other drivers of Connaught, like Roy Salvadori, Archie Scott Brown, and Ivor Webb, who were managed by Bernie Ecclestone, also experienced some deadly accidents. Salvadori decided to retire from racing after a near-death experience, but the other two were killed. Many of the drivers who were managed by Bernie in their racing careers lost their lives on the track, like experiencing some kind of curse. He then became the manager of Jochen Rindt, opening the opportunity for him to drive for the Lotus F1 team. Further, Bernie decided to buy shares of Lotus F2 team as well. Rindt was one of the best drivers in that season, and he got the opportunity to battle for the title very easily. However, he also lost his life during the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, like the other drivers who were managed by Bernie Ecclestone. As he already accumulated enough points to win the championship before his death, Jochen Rindt was crowned as the one and only posthumous champion in the history of Formula 1. Then he decided to invest part of his wealth on Formula 1 by purchasing the Brabham F1 team from Ron Turonak for a reported $120,000. However, Turonak stayed with the team as its chief designer for one more season before parting ways with Ecclestone. During his time as the boss of the Brabham team, he was able to get the services of some of the biggest names in the sport in that era, like Graham Hill, Carlos Reutemann, John Watson, Niki Lauda, Riccardo Patrese, Elio De Angelis, and Nelson Piquet. Once, he tried to recruit Ayrton Senna as one of their drivers, and he completed a successful test with the team at Paul Ricard Circuit in 1983. However, Nelson Piquet was against this decision, and he got the support of the team's main sponsor, Italian food firm Parmalat, to stop the move of Ayrton Senna to the second seat of the Brabham team. That's why Senna decided to join McLaren later. Anyhow, Piquet was able to win 2 drivers' championships with Brabham team. As the boss of the Brabham team, he established the Formula 1 Constructors Association, which was known as FOCA, with the support of Frank Williams, Colin Chapman, and Ken Tyrrell to represent their interests against FISA, which was the predecessor of the FIA. This initiated a war between FOCA and FISA over the control of Formula 1, and Ecclestone tried to place the commercial rights of the sport under FOCA. His old friend, Max Mosley, who was a former Formula 1 driver, assisted him as a legal advisor for the battle against FISA. At the end of a several seasons-long battle between FISA and FOCA, they came to a final conclusion of placing the commercial rights of the sport under a company headed by Bernie Ecclestone in 1987. Initially, it was known as the Formula 1 Promoters Association, and later it was rebranded as Formula 1 Management. With this latest move in his career, Ecclestone decided to sell the Brabham team for $5 million in 1988 and to get more involved in the management of the sport. However, not everyone was happy with the way that the battle between FISA and FOCA was settled. Ken Tyrrell was one who directly criticised this new deal. However, it was not possible to stop Bernie Ecclestone, and he had a specific plan to get the full control over the commercial rights of the sport. Bernie spread his power to FISA by appointing Max Mosley as the president and a few other people from his inner circle to the top positions of FISA. Then Max Mosley dissolved it and established a new governing body called the FIA in 1993. All of his plans were successfully executed, and Bernie was able to get full control of the commercial rights. In 2000, he made a deal with the FIA president Max Mosley to lease the commercial rights of the sport for 110 years for $360 million. And in that way, he slowly became the owner of this sport, building an empire. After ruling the sport for over several decades, Ecclestone finally stepped away from Formula 1 by selling his rights to Liberty Media in 2016. The new ownership of Formula 1 management decided to remove Bernie Ecclestone from the role of Chief Executive Officer on the 23rd of January 2017, ending his long-term formal association with the sport. To be honest, most people were unhappy with the way that Bernie Ecclestone handled the sport, as most of his moves were totally focused on making profits rather than improving the standards of it. So it's hard to find an F1 fan who thinks that Ecclestone's departure is a great loss to the sport. What do you think about Bernie Ecclestone's influence on the development of the sport to the present level that we see today? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula 1 news, and we'll see you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.